It's a great time to be a consumer. The commoditization of technology is bringing better devices at price points that have never been lower. The trend started with the likes of Xiaomi and Motorola bringing cheaper devices with performance that was good enough for a lot of buyers. With the Micromax Canvas Spark, we see a sub 5000 rupee handset that runs Android Lollipop and has a sharp focus on build quality. Hi, this is Sandeep and this is the Fonearena review of the Micromax Canvas Spark. The Micromax Canvas Spark impresses when it comes to build quality and design. It punches well above its weight and certainly doesn't come off as the low-end budget hardware that it is. The front has a design reminiscent of the iPhone 3GS, but to call it a copy would be unfair. The screen is a 4.7-inch panel with a front-facing camera and speaker grille is placed above it. Below the display lie the three capacitive buttons that correspond to the standard Android 5.0 icons. Where you start noticing the attention to design is however towards the sides of the handset. A metallic grey band runs around the device in a black and grey variant. There is also a white and gold combination on offer. The grey band is predictably plastic as you'd expect from a handset in this category, but feels and looks quite good. How well it lasts over extended usage, however, is a different story. The right side sports the volume rocker and the power button, while the left is bereft of any key. The top of the phone has the 3.5mm audio jack, while the bottom is where you'll spot the micro USB port as well as the microphone. The rear panel of the phone has a sandstone-like color and finish as pioneered by the OnePlus One. The implementation is a lot smoother though. The speaker grille is placed towards the bottom while a Micromax logo is placed below the camera module. Speaking of the camera module, it is accompanied by an LED flash. The module itself protrudes from the body of the handset, which makes us fear that it will pick up scratches whenever you place it on a surface. The handset measures in at a svelte 8.5mm, which makes it very comfortable to hold and slips into most pockets with ease. The weight has also been kept low at 134 grams, which means that the phone will never weigh down in your hand or pocket. The Micromax Canvas Spark simply impressed us in the design and build department. Let's move on to the software then. In a move that is most definitely good for consumers, Micromax has kept skinning to an absolute minimum. The experience is essentially stock Android 5.0 Lollipop and it certainly helps with performance. The range of applications included in the software include an app center, a game center, and a few apps for services like Quicker. As we said earlier, you might find utility for a few of these services, but for the most part they are just unnecessary baggage. Beyond that, the software experience is quite nice and clean, just as we like it. The Micromax Canvas Spark is equipped with a 1.3 GHz quad-core MediaTek MT6582M processor and is paired with 1GB of RAM, out of which 497 MB is available at boot. The amount of free RAM generally hovers around 360 MB mark after a couple of hours of usage. Not high-end specifications, but certainly impressive for a low-cost handset. That said, performance was unfortunately a bit of a hit or miss. The phone would occasionally take a few seconds to react to a button press and an app launching always felt a bit slow. It was as if the phone was still processing the touch while we were waiting for the app to start up. We feel that further optimization and a software update has a potential to fix this. There's an 8MP camera module on the Canvas Spark and image quality isn't all that bad. Shots in well-lit conditions are usually usable. The camera isn't all that bad, with dynamic range being the limiting factor like most budget handsets. The level of details in the shot is quite good, with no noise as long as lighting conditions are decent. The lack of dynamic range, however, usually results in overexposed shots. Low light shots, however, usually end up with too much noise. Admittedly, a QHD display with 960 by 540 pixels resolution isn't something worth writing home about, but that's what you get with most budget devices. The low resolution stretched over about 4.7 inches does give text and icons a slightly blurred around the edges, but is certainly not unusable. We found the color rendering to be fairly accurate and brightness levels are quite good too. Tested out in bright sunlight, the glossy panel does make it a bit hard to read text, but bumping up the brightness levels helps mitigate that to a degree. A slightly higher maximum brightness level would have been appreciated. Beyond that, saturation levels are adequate and the viewing angles are good enough. The display isn't going to make the handset stand out, but it feels perfectly adequate for a budget device like the Canvas Spark. On the plus side, the display has a Corning Gorilla Glass 3 coating, which isn't something commonly seen in this category. In terms of connectivity, you get the usual 3G HSPA+, Wi-Fi 802.11 BGN, Bluetooth 4.0 and GPS. The phone has dual SIM support with 3G support on slot 1 and the second slot being relegated to 2G speeds. This is common for entry level devices and not something we can really complain about. Out of 8GB of storage, there is 3.6GB of free space available. You can bump that up via the micro SD card slot. We tried out a 64GB card in the handset and it worked just fine despite the company's claim of supporting up to 32GB of extra storage only. The phone supports USB OTG as well, and you can easily swap the default write disk between the phone, SD card and the external USB storage. The battery is a sealed 2000 mAh unit. With mild usage, the handset delivered about a day of usage, but start putting in through spaces and the battery life does take a solid hit. The Micromax Canvas Spark delivers what it promises. This is possibly some of the best hardware we have got our hands on in this price range. A sub 5000 rupee handset that feels like something in the rupees 10,000 price segment is not something we see every day, and for this Micromax deserves a lot of credit. However, compromises have to be made to achieve this, and it's very evident where that happened. Performance is a hit or miss and the battery life isn't any good either, but we really can't fault the complete package that you get with the Canvas Spark at what is a really fantastic price point. If you have any questions about the Canvas Spark, feel free to point them towards us. This was Sandeep from Fonearena reviewing the Micromax Canvas Spark. Thanks for watching and do subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.